I'm an addict. My name is Joni.
Hi, Joni.
It's good to be here. I'm glad it's a small group because just keeps my nerves, in check a little bit better. As I was thinking about this topic, of course, I had to contemplate it. I want to kind of lean more here, though, because I thought about what joy is to me today. And, of course, I thought about, the journey. And I've heard a couple different, definitions of joy. And one of them was that happiness comes from within and joy comes from things outside of us when we're happy. Now, I don't know if that really, is the truth, but I do know today that through the process of being on this journey, meaning for me, staying clean and working the steps, I go to it all the time, and it talks about God's will, and it's on page 112, and it says that we see that regardless of the presence or absence of material success in our lives, we can be content. We can be happy and fulfilled with or without money, with or without a partner, with or without the approval of others. We've begun to see that God's will for us is the ability to live with dignity, to love ourselves and others, to laugh, and to find great joy and beauty in our surroundings. It goes on and it says that these priceless gifts are no longer beyond our reach. They are, in fact, the very essence of God's will for us. And in this book, it only talks about joy twice. And that's one of the times. And for me, it's a long, slow process, and it is a journey. It's not a destination for me. The journey is continuous, and the benefits of being on this journey have been immeasurable for me. I can't explain the place that I'm in my life today, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit because I think that that's important. It's about when I came in and I was such a mess. I could barely speak for the first year at meetings, and I have since, and I put on a lot of weight, and that was a safety thing for me. I got up to about 240 at one point, and but it kept me safe. It kept me safe from predators, possibly inside of the meeting rooms, and and it kept me isolated, and I needed that. I needed that so much because I had abused myself and been abused in relationships for so long. And then after about a year, I started to finally feel comfortable speaking, and I was working the steps and the process. The process has changed me. It continues to. I've matured. I've graduated from college. I am getting a divorce from a man that I've been married to for about 11 years. I finally found the courage to leave that relationship. And it wasn't an abusive relationship. He was a wonderful husband, actually. A great father, a great provider, stable financially. But I married him when I was drunk. And he was messed up too. We were both on drugs and alcohol at that time, mostly drinking though. But, and so it just really, it was missing something. It was missing intimacy, verbal and physical. And through the process of being on this journey, I found that I do love myself and I do deserve, intimacy. And I deserve to be with someone who I am attracted to. I thought that I could stay in that marriage and it would be all right. We have a daughter, and And sometimes I regret that for her, that we're not together, but I wanted her to see me too in an intimate relationship. Well, I found a man. I'm not divorced yet, but I'm seeing a man, and I'm finding so much joy in this relationship that I have with him and his children. And I found such a freedom from, finally letting go of the old relationship. I just, it's so hard to describe, the feeling that I have, the freedom and the joy. Today, I never thought that I was worthy of happiness. I grew up in a family that made me believe that I couldn't do anything right. They were very critical, especially my sister and my father. And so I was always seeking other people's approval. My sister was physically and emotionally abusive to me, and I was always a really sensitive child, and I still am a very sensitive, emotional person. But she, abused me for so many years, and I never had any security, stability in my childhood, and so that's why I turned to drugs. And gosh, I'm not sure what to say, and I realize that I have a lot of thoughts going on in my head right now about this. The journey is sorry. I don't know. Another thing I probably ought to speak about is that I haven't been putting my program first as much as I used to. I have 5 years clean now. As of May 8th, I never got a key tag for that. I never got my coin. I have rarely called my sponsor in the last 4 months. And so, I found it. I have somebody else I want to ask for a sponsor. I realize this is being taped. Hopefully my old sponsor doesn't hear this, but the journey that I'm on right now is a journey of transition. I'm going through the divorce. I'm in a new relationship. I've got 5 years clean, which is a big milestone for me. And a lot of people, I think, I've heard that people at 5 years go through quite a bit. And I've seen quite a few people leave at 5 years. And some of them used and some of them didn't. But you rarely see them anymore, And I don't really want to be one of those people. I mean, I want to do what's right for myself and be true to myself. And I want to stay in the process and stay in the journey, on the journey. But the person that I'm becoming, I don't know. It's transition. I do find joy today in practicing spiritual principles. Joy is a product of that for me, because I've developed conscience, and putting these principles that I've learned here into practice bring me joy. They bring me peace and serenity. I have a calmness about me that I've never had before, that I never thought I could have. A part of my journey is learning to be true to myself first, above everyone else, and knowing and believing and practicing self-love. That's part of that for me, putting myself first. I always felt selfish when I would even think about putting myself first before, but now I realize it's a self-loving behavior. I've lost 70 pounds. That's a self-loving behavior. I haven't quit smoking, but that's next. I got up early and I walked out to the pier this morning, and I'm a bird watcher. That brings me joy, finding beauty in my surroundings. And like it says in step 11 on page 112, I was watching, the lake, and I was noticing, the different patterns, the ripples in the water, and watching the swallows, dip down, toward the water, and just, finding great beauty and joy in my surroundings. and in my relationships today. And because of the program, because of what you people give me, and because of working the steps, and being open-minded, and willing, and that's why I find joy and beauty in my surroundings and in my relationships. And that's why I finally have a deep self-love that I never thought possible for someone like me, from where I've been and what I used to do. I haven't been to that many meetings lately, but I do not feel like using drugs or alcohol to make things okay inside. I don't need those anymore. And part of the reason that I haven't been to meetings, though, is because of the divorce. I thought I would have more free time to go to meetings. Well, I don't. I have my daughter a lot more than I used to. I don't have as much free time, but I'm in a place today where I don't get all messed up. You know what I mean? I don't get, like, if I haven't been to a meeting for a week and a half, I can center myself anyway. At the beginning, I needed to get to a meeting right away to get centered and to be filled up and to be fed. But today I have tools. I'm in the process continually. I'm on the journey constantly, and this is such a beautiful atmosphere here. The whole place just has a really wonderful spiritual feel to it, and every year that I've been here, I've got something different from being here. One year I was really wondering, what is God's will? And I was really in turmoil, and I sat in the big auditorium one night and I said, I just prayed. I cried out to my higher power and I said, what is your will for me? What is your will? And I heard, what I got an answer that day or that night, and I was by myself there, and the answer was, love is my will. And I knew that was my higher power speaking to me. And because of the way that it was worded, not only because I believe it in my soul, at the time I didn't know that, but it made perfect sense to me. Because if it was me saying that to myself, I would have said I would put the word my first. My will is love. My will is love. But no, the answer came to me. Love was the first word in that response. Love is my will. And so when I thought of the topic for today about, joy is in the journey, my focus has been about love in my head, because that's what I practiced more in my recovery. Joy is a product of practicing love on this journey, whether it's self-love or love for others, or finding great joy and beauty in my surroundings, living with dignity, that the products of doing those things are joy. I feel like I rambled, I really am so grateful. And, I have one of my best friends in recovery talks about how getting the message from your head to your heart. And I never knew what she meant by that, but she always said it. And I wanted to know what that meant. I wanted to have that. Well, guess what? I have it. It's a product of working the steps. It's a product of allowing it to work in my life and practicing it on a daily basis. Finally, what I crammed into my head, what I put down on paper, what came out of my mouth, finally, what was all up here is finally down here. And I can live it on a daily basis without a whole lot of effort. But it is a continuous process, and it is a journey. It isn't a destination. And that's why it's important for me to stay. That's why it's important for me to find a new sponsor to help me grow, to allow myself, the opportunity for further growth and remaining open-minded, knowing that, sure, it feels all okay now, but it might not feel okay later because I am an addict. And my thinking has been screwed up for most of my life. this has only been a short 5 years, you know, and so this is good for me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak today, and I'm glad that there's just a handful of you here, you know, to help me process all this. I'm very grateful to be here, and I do find joy in my life today, and it is a product of being on this journey, the lifelong journey, you know, not just a 5-year journey. And thanks a lot.
Alrighty, thank you, Joni. We have our second speaker, Avis. Would you like to come forward?
My name is Avis, and I'm an addict.
Hi, Avis.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank my higher power for introducing me to the program of Narcotics Anonymous, to you people for being here for me. The joy is in the journey. I need to start this off with my journey here. You know, it was peaceful and quiet, you know, just me and another individual driving from Detroit, and it was all right until we come up off the turnpike, you know. As soon as we got, you know, started with all the different turns and stuff like that, we made the wrong turn, and we wind up going down the one-way street, and it was a bend where you couldn't see the cars coming towards you, and luckily, you know, that we wasn't going that fast because there was no sign said do not enter or whatever, and we happened to notice that we was on the one-way street and was allowed to back up and turn around. The joy in that was that I was still here to talk about it, you know. Joy of my journey through this process of NA, it's been a prosperous journey, you know. I only had one disaster, and that was 12 days coming up on my year my father passed. And I used to always wonder what would happen to me if something detrimental would go on in my life with my family. Would I use or would I, you know, maintain? But coming through this process, I was allowed to stay clean. You know, I didn't have to use, because y'all told me I didn't have to use no matter what, if I wanted to, if I didn't want to. You know, and I got past that. You know, and it's a joy just to know that today I can face reality. You know, I don't have to run from things. You know, I used to run for myself a lot. Today, you know, I still run sometimes, but today I can go through. You know, it's a process. This program of Narcotics Anonymous is an awesome program for me because I never thought that I can go through things the way I do today. You know, I never thought that I can come face to face with my fears. In time, you know, things happen, and one of the joyful things about my process is that I can go through change, you know, because I know once an addict told me if it's all about change. If I don't change my old behaviors and my old way of thinking, that my address will change, you know. If I don't change, my telephone number will change. They even told me my clean day to change. But little did I know, if I didn't change, I'd be right back on the corner asking for some change, you know. And I didn't want that in my life, you know. I heard share that if things are going bad in your life, say just sit still, don't worry about it, because things are going to change. But also, if they're going good, sit still, things going to change, you know. So I know this is a process, and it's all about change, you know, and it's all up to me, because I know that today that acceptance leads to recovery, and I have to accept exactly who I am today, and I know that I'm an addict. You know, I didn't want to accept that for a long time. I was in denial, you know. But like I said, my journey through this process has been joyful for me. You know, it's not all about materialistic or things like that. It's all about succeeding in life, living life on life terms without the use of alcohol and drugs, you know, because I never thought, and the joy it really is about for me to reach out and help a newcomer, see. And that's what I do. Everybody used to, you know, we got this meeting back home that everybody calls the zoo, because that's where everybody go and act up at. You know, they act out, fight, shoot, and, you know, all kinds of things. You know, we addicts, you know, we human. But And then my sponsor asked me one day, why you be going over to the zoo? You know it's crazy over there, chaotic. I said, because that's where a lot of new people come in the doors at. A lot of treatment centers come in the doors at. So I go over to the zoo because I can reach out and I can help the newcomer. And I can also help people outside the fellowship. Because I remember we did 11 step, and I think it was 10 or 11, and I was asking, how do you step outside yourself to help somebody else? And my sponsor had, let me know that, little do you know, you already stepped outside yourself, because when my father passed, I took on the responsibility of taking care of his 82-year-old wife. And today I'm a caregiver of her, So I never knew that I was stepping outside myself all the time, And this was a year clean. So I guess that's what really kept me. It was meant for me it was God's will for me to reach out, because I really didn't know how to stay clean. I didn't know how to work the steps. I didn't know how to get involved because I was a loner, So today, like I said, my journey has been prosperous, and it's a joy for me just to know that I can sit and do something for somebody else. I get a joyful feeling out of knowing that somebody talked to me and I helped them in any area of their life. So I know my journey, like I said, has been a prosperous journey. I work part-time for the police station, police personnel. Who would have thought an addict like me be working in police personnel? I go to school full-time. And I'm still a caregiver. So I don't have no space for nothing else but to have peace in my life and joy. I was thinking about this relationship, and I was saying that now, I need to work on the things that really bothers me, and that's like standing up for non-existent virtues, something that I really is meaningless to me, and I'm still trying to hold on to it, But other than that, my journey is, like I said, it's been prosperous, It's been beautiful. I work on myself, and when I come here, I get nothing but peace. Camp Mac, I don't know what to say about this convention, this We Grow With Love, but it turns me into, how do you say, what the drugs used to do, turns to somebody we didn't want to be, but it's all right. I want to be this person today, I can change that mask, because we still wear masks around here. People, we walk around here and people ask just like they say, how you doing? We fine. Half the time we don't be fine. We be going through and then don't want to share it, because I know I feel like that sometimes. But when I come here, honest to God, I'll be just all right. I put everything that's at home, I leave it at home. I clear all my thoughts of the past. I try not to think about the future because it's not promised to me. And I try to stay in here now. And I just look out on the water, and it's so peaceful and quiet. I go down to the tree, and thank God, this is a blessing to see something like this. Because I know in my addiction, I couldn't go around the corner back. Half the time I couldn't leave the house. So I know about what joy is about. It's a joy to get outside the city. I was listening to my niece, and every time I leave, I go get her. Come sit with Queen for me. I'm finna go such and such a place. And they said, and her friend was telling me, Avis, you just gone all the time now. Danielle says you found out she come and sit with Queen, and you just don't sit still no more. But it's a joy just to leave, sometimes. Because I know, just like I said, I was in like a 4x4 shoebox. I couldn't go from corner to corner without thinking I was going to miss something. But today I can go outside the city of Detroit. Not too long ago, me and my daughter, which I never traveled with, went to Virginia, went out to Virginia Beach, had a beautiful time, rented a car, And I'm saying, this is all new to me, but it's all right. I'm in school. She was sitting running around telling everybody, kicking it with her little friends. My mama made the dean's list, and little did I know, I got 3 A's. And I'm like, oh, so I can do some things in recovery, This process, I don't know, I can't express it enough, because it's given me something that I never thought I would have. I never amounted to anything, never added up to and never had the thought that I would ever be anything or become clean or sober for that matter. Because I thought I was going to die in the harsh of addiction. But today I know that we do recover around here. You know, all I have to do is apply it to my life. See, because I can't apply my life to, I can't apply this to my life. I have to apply my life to the program because the program ain't going to be here if I'm not, you know. But I know today it's a good feeling just to go through the process. It's a good feeling. It's a joyful feeling for me knowing that I have to face all kind of communication problems, you know, problem with outside the fellowship, and I can face it. I don't have to medicate myself. You know, I don't have to run for myself. Today, Avis just ain't that bad. And I was running for Avis for a long time because I really didn't know who she was. All I knew, they used to call me Hammer, 38, you know, Miss Skippy, you know, all these. But I never knew who Avis was, you know. But today I know my mother named me Avis, you know, and I was born with the name of Avis, and I don't have to live up to other people's reputation because that's what I was doing. I lived up to a reputation that allowed me to go to prison, you know, calling me 38. And I'm walking around with a pistol thinking I'm all that. You know, little did I know I was just human, just like the rest of them. You know, I'm not living outside my means today. I'm not getting fat-headed because I went down that road. You know, I had a good government job. And only to go back out and use again because I thought I had all the answers to everything that was going on in NA and didn't apply it in my life. And I was coming here just like I heard another addict share because I was in the same position. I was coming here for y'all to teach me how to get high sociably, you know. But today I know that it's all about I can never use again in life. Today I'm accepting the fact that I can never use again. See, because acceptance equals recovery. And I'm accepting the fact that I'm an addict. I'm accepting the fact that any given situation might trigger my allergic reaction, and I'll be right back out there. I don't have those moments. I just have today. I'm accepting it because y'all told me, and the program tells me, the acceptance equals recovery. You know, so that's where I'm at today. I'm in a joyful mood, a joyful spirit, and coming out here is, my friend was asking me, talking about, what you say we going out? And I was telling her, I'm going to a spiritual retreat. She said, this thing don't say nothing about no spiritual retreat. I say, but when you get there, you'll figure out why I say it's a spiritual retreat, you know. But it is for me. And I'll tell everybody, you know, because they be telling me, well, where the fly at? I say, just trust me, it's a spiritual retreat, you know. But that's where I am today. And that's a joyful feeling just to know I can come somewhere and have peace of mind, a peace within myself, you know, and a peaceful surrounding, you know, and don't have to worry about in everybody else's inventory or somebody's in mine, you know, because living in a big city, you know, you got a lot of patent plays going on, and everybody's doing everybody, and you just sit back and look at it. But I take a lot of inventory. I'm very observant, and I take a lot of inventory, and it chalks up to experience, because I said to myself, I'm not going down that road, because I see a lot of people go back out. I see a lot of people doing that murder-suicide thing, you know, living in the city. I see, you know, you see a lot of things going on around you. So, you know, then by me sitting back looking at things, you know which turn to take, right or wrong, you know. So like I say, my journey has been prosperous, and it's been educational, you know, because I'm learning a lot of things. I'm learning how to live. I didn't know nothing about life because I've been getting high ever since I was a kid. I didn't know how, you know, to go and do what responsible people do, especially paying bills, you know, so going to the market or going to the doctor, as far as that's concerned, I didn't know nothing about that. See, the joy is in, I can do some things today. My journey has been joyful. I can do a lot of things, you know, and I thought that I was just stuck on one particular area of my life, and then I found out by me going to school, all this is running side by side with Narcotics Anonymous. Because everything I'm applying in school and we talk about in school, it's the same thing that's coming out that book. You know what I'm saying? Because I looked at a lot of us had programmed ourselves to live in poverty. Today I don't have to live in poverty. I can move up in the world. I can educate myself. There's all kind of opportunities out there. And I always thought I had to sit. No, I don't have to sit on welfare. I don't have to be on ADC or FIA. You know, I don't have to wait and on a once a month SSI check, which is another form of welfare. You know, I remember my surgery, my second surgery, because I done had 3 of them. And they told me I'd be on medication the rest of my life. Today I'm not on medication. You know, I go through a lot of pain. I wake up in pain. I go to sleep with pain. But it's tolerable, you know, because I know who I am today. And it's a joyful feeling that I don't have to take all that medication. I ain't got to wake up and my whole schedule is scheduled around what pill I got to take at what time, or how much I got to eat to take this medication. You know, I don't have to wake up to that today. I know that some parts of taking medication is valid, you know, but today I just choose not to use. You know, it's not an option with me. Today I want to live. You know, and I know my addiction can have me misusing that medication. It can take me there, and the thought have took me there. And then especially when I got another supposed to be recovering addict, every time I turn around, what kind of medication you got, you know, this and that and other, that's something I need to think about. I need to think about what am I doing with my life and how far do I want to go with this? You know, because I sit around and I tell a lot of people, because this is what happened to me, this is what I applied in my life. See, I didn't use drugs. Drugs used me. And they will continue to use me if I allow it to. See, I have a choice today, you know, and I don't have to go down that route. But I know some things are detrimental. When I leave here the next week, I'm going back to the doctor because I know I have high blood pressure. And that's one valid prescription that I need, you know. But as far as the other time, I'm pain medication and muscle relaxers, and I'm going to go through anyway. You know, I'm going to go through the change, which I probably am going through because I just be flashing cover on, cover off, cover on, you know. But it's a part of life. And I'm finding out that life is just what you make it. You know, if you want your life to be fucked up, then that's the situation you're going to live in. If you want your life to be better, that's the way you're going to live your life. See, because drugs was a part of my symptom, but I was addicted more so to the lifestyle, because that's the way I grew up. I grew up partying every weekend. Everybody barbecuing on the weekend and last all the way to Monday, and sometimes Tuesday before they go back to work. You know, I grew up, and I was addicted to the lifestyle. So now that I came out the lifestyle, as in I think that second step, so you had to fill that void. See, I had to have something to do because I had too much idle time on my hands. But I have a very encouraging daughter who's graduating from college this month, you know. And then she sit up and she told me, Mom, you need to, and I was just all in denial, you know, had this side, a wall against her, you know, but she really encouraged me to go back to school, which I didn't think I had it in me, you know. I'm not gonna, and I was so overwhelmed when I got back there, all I can do is just pour out at meetings and cry about, oh, this is just too much. And little did I know, like I said, I come out of there with 3 A's. And come out of there with a workable schedule. When I apply this part of my schooling, then I do my work, I go to work, I take care of my stepmother, I have her stuff ready, you know, and it all worked out. See, we just complicated people. This is a simple program. We just make things complicated around here. You know, we want things our way, we want what we want when we want it. And things, we have to admit when we're wrong. You know, and that's getting some acceptance. Because I didn't never want to be wrong. To this day, I still don't sometimes. You know. But then when it all boils down to it, I can admit when I'm wrong. You know, I used to couldn't admit it. You know, I used to couldn't. I argue back. Sometimes still do. But the program will kick in eventually. You know, it did a lot for me. I was just looking at my niece friend called me. It's been about a month ago, and like I said, I was a addict of the streets. I was addicted to the lifestyle, and then by them labeling me with all these labels, I used to own up to them reputations. And her friend called me and said, such and such a person just jumped on your niece. And I'm like, and then the thought never occurred to me, hey, Avis, go on, get the gun, run down, you know what I'm saying? But I had to ask her, what you want me to do about it? That's the way y'all living. See, I ain't living like that today. You know, they tell me, and the things that go on in our life is the way we living. Everybody I had to tell them, I had to be honest. You know, and people get mad at me. The guy come up here, he want to come in here and share about how he going to jail and this and that and the other, that's the way you living. See, if you carry a gun, you looking for trouble. You know, and I had to come to reality and find out about that. It's the way you living. That's what's going to become of you. And that's the way I was living. Today, I'm not living like that. I'm not 38. I'm not Miss Skippy. I'm not Hammer. You know, I'm not none of them. Today, I'm Avis. You know, so I know life has been a journey for me in this process of NA, and it's been a joyful journey because it's allowed me to live. It's educating me, and I'm continuing my journey because it's been great for me. I haven't had, been no problem. I'm just saying, and then the biggest part, let me tell you, explain this part to you. My license, I haven't had any license over 20 years. Whoa, now. I done got stopped, put in jail, and everything else. So now I'm going to get real honest and get some acceptance in my life, and I'm going to pay these tickets. See, $1,800 worth. I had tickets in Lansing, tickets in Battle Creek, tickets in Detroit. So, I got my friends, and I took off work, and I'm going to pay these tickets. And it was like, and, it was there. It was there for me to do. I prayed on it. I said, I got to do this because I want to, do things legal. I want to live right today. And got up here, and I paid these tickets. Now, before I paid them tickets, a couple of years ago, I paid some tickets in Detroit that I had first. Then I come back around. I was on my way from work, still driving, down and dirty, everything dirty. The guy stopped me for no seatbelt. And he came up to the car. I said, officer, I don't have nothing. And he said, nothing? I said, which I did. I ran out the house, no ID, no nothing. So it happened I had this work ID hanging on the supervisor that I never wore to get in the job because I work for the police personnel, so I'm, big time now, So he said, nothing. I said, nothing, no registration, no proof of insurance, no nothing. He said, what is that right there? I said, oh, that's the only thing that saved me. It said police personnel on that. I said, I just paid some tickets, which was, I think, about $400. And I said, I'm trying to work my way up to paying the rest of these tickets so I can get my license back. He said, this car haven't been registered in 5 years. I said, ooh. And he said, what place? I said, honestly, I'm going to tell you, my father passed, and he had a crisis just like this one, and I took the tags off of that one and put it on this one. He said, well, you have any? I don't have no proof of insurance, no registration, no nothing. He said, well, you know what? You just down and dirty. He said, but I'm going to give you a ticket since you being so honest with me. He gave me a proof of no seatbelt. A ticket for no seatbelt, a ticket for no proof of insurance. He said, but I ain't going to give you this ticket for improper plates. He said, but so I said, thank you, and I'm just sitting there, I'm on the phone, I'm saying, I'm going to jail, again, clean. But little did I know, he let me go. He gave me them tickets. And he let me go. And now this time around, I'm going to pay these other tickets. So I come back to Detroit because I'm going to pay Detroit last this time, you know. And I pay these other tickets. So when I got home, they sent me a letter. Lancer said, well, we're going to suspend your license another 30 days. So that supposed to been up in April the 30th. So May the 1st, I go down here. I went to pay the tickets in Detroit, which come up to $700 more. I go down here May the 1st to get my license. They say, oh, you got another 45-day suspension. And all of a sudden, everything just went out the window. And I want to hoop and holler and act out. I said, for what? What's really going on, you know? And I know it wasn't this woman's fault. She just going pulling up what's on the computer. She said, Miss, she trying to calm me down. I done got really finna get historic. And the program kicked in. She said, you want me to pull it? I said, pull it up. I need to know. You know, I'm really going there now. Then when she went to hit on the computer, you know, and the program kicked in, I said, no, don't. That's all right. You ain't got to pull it up. See, because I'm still not going to get my license to another 45 days. So I had to get some acceptance in that area that I can't get my license until June 15th now. I said, well, I'm hooping. How come they didn't send me no letter, you know? See, this program is showing me how to change. It's showing me that I ain't got to go cuss everybody out because it ain't their fault. They just work there. Because I don't want nobody coming there cussing me out, and all I do is work there. You know what I'm saying? People have feelings, and I know I do. And we go through all kinds of ranges, emotions, and feelings today that we thought we never had. And I know I have, because I can be just come out the room from reading the Bible and step outside the room and angry and don't know why I'm angry. But it's a joy in knowing that I have feelings. So I know this is a journey for me. It has been a journey and going to continue to be a journey for me, a joyful journey, because it's the way I want to live. It's the way I'm living. If I want to act out, if I want to get belligerent like everybody else, that's the way I'm going to live. See, it's all about how we want to live our lives today. See, and I want to live. I don't want to go back to the streets. I don't want to go back to the horrors of addiction. I don't want to go back to the lifestyle. See, because I'm at peace with myself. Ain't nobody hitting my door 24/7 for nothing. I barely have company. My house stay clean. You know, I ain't got to go through that today. I got a lot of things. A lot of things. And I was telling my friend yesterday that I've been dreaming, just daydreaming, and been in the train of thought is how I want to move on with my life. See, I don't want to be complacent. There's a lot of things that can hinder me in this process too. You know, clean. See, because they say we can come up around here and be penniless, homeless, and jobless. See, and I know for myself, my stepmother, her income helps as well as mine because I only work part-time, you know, and I'm living in a nice house. And so I know sooner or later she's not going to be around to help me because we all going to leave here sometime. So I know I got to move on. I got to do some things. And I never thought about it that way. I always thought about, I'm going to be right here, you know. And then I think about a lot of time, and it took a long time for me to get with the thought that I don't want to sit at home and wait on no once a month check. Because that'll put me in the same predicament of thinking that I'm out there using. Because that's the things I used to do. Sit up and wait on everybody's check. And you know, everybody knew everybody's number. You know, who they want to be friends with that day. I didn't want to do that no more. See, I didn't want to feel that that's what I had to do because that was a part of my addiction. See, I'm walking around here, I got an artificial vertebrae. I got herniated disc. I still got 2 numb fingers. They didn't get it all out. I got a slit down the back of my neck. You know, I'm a gift. I hear a lot of people talking about their first year was a gift. Every day is a gift for me because I'm able to walk. I'm able to do some things. I still got my eyesight. I can hear. You know, I still got my limbs. I woke up this morning. So just not my first year. Every day that I wake up is a gift. See, it's only through God's grace and His mercy that I'm up here talking to y'all. Because I'm a blessing. I don't care what nobody say. You can talk about me, talk at me, talk with me. I'm still a blessing. You know? So with that, I got to keep coming. And We Grow with Love is showing me how to grow and expressing the love that I have inside of me, because I never knew how to love. You know how they say, who's an addict? That we had resorted to animal level, and the way we thought with love was non-existent. That's where I was. And I still got to keep coming, because I still don't know how to be affectionate or compassionate sometimes to people and they feelings. You know, I'm still learning. So with that, I got to keep coming. Thank you.
Okay, before we open the floor for sharing, I need to remind everyone that you're being taped. If you wish not to be taped, please let me know so that we can turn the tape off. We've got plenty of time here, about 30 minutes, so anybody else would like to come up and share, please come up and share freely.
My name is
Hi, family. My name is Edwin. I'm an addict, too.
Hey, Edwin.
And I just came in early this morning from Detroit also. I want to thank God for just allowing me to, and allowing me first to being obedient and getting up here. One of my buddies up here, he kept calling me saying, get on up here, man. We miss you. We got a spot for you. And I was fighting it all the way. I can't come now, had some death in the family. There's always something going on in my family, you know what I mean? My generation, And because I wanted to be here Friday, just for the simple fact that, that's just like a getaway. It ain't like the Chicago convention and the New York City convention. It's not that they wasn't good, but this is like, I can do this. I'm raggedy. I like being raggedy. I ain't dirty. My butt ain't dirty. I can take a shower, but I don't care. I don't have to have a suit on. I heard somebody sharing about how their parents raised them. They did the best they can. I used to have to go to school dressed up. I hated it. You see what I'm saying? And so I don't mind being raggedy. That's all I'm saying. I don't mind having. These are the best jeans I got. They got holes in them, and I'm free, joyous and free, and I don't care. Y'all don't think y'all care either. You know what I mean? And that's the way I like it. I don't like being, tired walking around like I'm somebody because I got on a pair of, I don't even know what they call the clothes now. Because I just don't care. I'm clean. I'm clean. And that's one of the best things that happened to me. I was about to fall asleep there in the chair, but this is one of the best things that happened to me in my life. You know what I'm saying? You was talking about going to school, Bill out of the road. You know what? That's a blessing. You know what? I hate school. I don't hate it. I don't mind learning. But I hear y'all saying, yeah, I'm getting my master's, and that's beautiful, and I'm gonna get an A. That algebra was kicking my butt, and I didn't get no damn A. You know what I mean? Do my job said you better go. You're gonna get some chemistry. That stuff was kicking my natural butt, and but I still passed though. I got a C. I'm serious. I don't know if it was my lack of willingness, but it seemed like the higher stuff got, the harder stuff. I was like, hey, I was bagging the ball, to be honest. You know what I mean? And I remember when I first got into the algebra, it was around the Million Man March time, and I was scared. I was in school for the first time in recovery, and so I'm sitting there nervous, and this black guy walked in. He was a teacher. I was like, it's a brother, It's going to be cool. I got this, right? You know what that idiot said? I know what you're thinking. Because I'm black. You're going to, you got it made. He said, I am not a soul brother. I'm from Africa. He said, there will not be any favoritism in my class. I was like, damn. He said, if you pass this class, it's because you did your work. And he told the women, he said, I got 5 kids and I'm happily married. You might as well keep your legs and your dress down, I said, golly, God is crazy. How you going to play me? But you know what? After going through that class, see, by coming to NA, and this journey on my journey, And by coming in there, y'all say keep coming. In other words, be regular in your daily deeds, right? So I made it. I was there every day. Every time that, I was there early, and I worked hard doing my homework. It was hard, and I didn't want to listen to nobody. My mind was closed. My wife be trying to show me how to do it. You know what you're talking about, He said one thing about you. He said that you're going to study, and you're going to try to work it out. Every time he said, when anybody wants to come to the board, and I'd get up, and I'd mess up, constantly, over and over. But I got up, though, because I had the willingness, and there was some people who failed, because he said they don't even try. Because he told us, too, he said, look, I don't want to hear this stuff about you can't understand my English. He said, because we got tutors upstairs that you can get. You see what I'm saying? In other words, get you a sponsor. Don't come telling me you don't understand. If you don't understand, like they said, if you don't understand the book, you can't read, get somebody to read it to you. And I went and got me some help. You know what I'm saying? Here's a brother gonna treat me like this. I had never been so happy to see a regular damn white boy in my damn life, man. He said, yeah, we can do this, man. I'll show you how to do it. Knowing I'm 70, like cool. And I made it through. And that's what the program do for me. It helped me in life, in period. I had my son. My brother said, well, look here, you can't, you get these kids when they're 11 years old, and then mama decides, send him to his daddy. Hey, he come in there, his hat on backwards, pants dragging the floor. What I'm going to do with this guy? He done made up his mind. He's Snoop Doggie's little brother and not my son. So what I had to do, I coached, I had to get some willingness. I coached baseball, football, just because of him. You know what I'm saying? Basketball, short as I am. Because the guy, in everything, it was always a challenge, The guy said he worked with me. He was like, look, Ed, man, we're going to keep, got a church league and, help me coach. Just be there with me. He goes on afternoon shift. I'm stuck with these kids by myself. All of them taller than me. I can't play better than them, you know what I mean? Don't know the rules. Don't know the fundamentals in no basketball, but I was there. Y'all say keep coming, and I showed up. All the time, my team got their butt kicked hard. Every game. I ain't like no big success story here. And then, bad news bears, and all of a sudden this jump shot went in and we went, yay! It was like, hell no, we lost again. Not only Lou, we got massacred, you know what I mean? But I did what I was supposed to do. And my son is in prison, you know what I'm saying? See, that's another thing. He's in jail. And I'm thinking all down on myself. And this other young guy come up to me, say, hey, didn't you used to coach football, for the Rams over here on the west side? And I'm thinking, yeah, how you know? He said, I'm Laurel, I'm Cowboy. Y'all should call me Cowboy. I want to let you know I'm in college now, down in Alabama. I'm playing. I want to thank you. I'm like, dang. You teach everybody else what's your own damn kid, you know what I mean? But you know what, last week I had a young relative. He was in a car. He decided to run from the police. The car flipped all over and he dead. My son is in prison, but he alive. You see what I'm saying? My son looked at me and said, well, how come somebody nice like that get the axe? Me, and then he got another buddy who got killed. You know what I mean? He said me and named a couple of other guys, and we sitting up here alive. He said, kind of ain't fair, ain't it? You know what I'm saying? But my other cousin come out to chapel. He said, well, damn, we just like the Kennedys. It's always a damn tragedy going on in this family. He said, only thing, we ain't got no damn money, But I told him, look, all I could do is pray. Pray with me. You get up in the morning, you pray. Let's pray together. I mean, maybe God's saying, look, I'm getting y'all together all these times so y'all can pray and put me first and quit putting yourself first. I don't know. I mean, who am I? I just don't know, but I'm tired of, I know I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep coming to meetings. See, because I'm part of the solution now. See, because I know when I was 17, I fell in love. Matter of fact, I was older than 17. I fell in love because the girl gave me a little bit, so she can't talk to nobody else and stuff. So after I had squoze her and held her so long, she had to break her loose from me and get the hell away from me. Then all the relatives come from Mississippi to make sure I stay away from her. So I'm going to kill everybody. It's a murder-suicide. I'm gonna kill myself because I'm so in love. I remember chasing, trying to run into the police. Police moved out of my way. I am glad. I am so glad they moved out of my way. I didn't come back, you know what I mean? I wasn't that in love. I was like, I almost hit them, If they would have, and Detroit police, they'd kick your ass. But anyway, why am I staring on this? Because that's what I had to go through. And now, through all that, I ain't got to, I don't hold my wife even hostage no more. I let that girl, she nice. I let her be who she is. I got a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. I am 48 years old. You know what I'm saying? Hell, my son, he tell me something, Daddy, ain't you around 50? I said, wait a minute, let me tell you something. You in jail, right? I can't get no damn grandkids from you, so I make my damn own, all right? How you gonna act? Ain't you 50? Ain't that about something? You shut up. I put $50 in your account. I'm out of here. But it's so I take the bitter with the sweet. You know what I mean? And I passed the class. I was so bad to say I got an A, man. I got A's and I'm on the. Everybody be saying that shit. I'm on the dean list. I applied myself and. My God, I'm there, man. Holy shit. Flew my grandmother in from California and we had a big party. The kids loved me and all the teachers were kissing my ass. Hell no! I barely passed. I was glad as hell. I said, thanks, man. I was glad, man. But I passed. Because y'all said keep coming. I don't miss nothing. I don't be tardy, I might be tardy, but I don't miss. I'm showing up. I'm showing up for the classes, and I got to preach it. Now, he's bound to make a preacher out of me. Boy, you always got to be funny, don't you? You always got to be on show. Why come I, just let me be me. Look, God. Because you know why? Because I'm dedicated. If I say I'm coming, I'm there. Because y'all showed me it's okay to show up. That's my journey. Y'all gave me permission to be there. You know what I'm saying? Just come. And I hate suits. And we got my church so small, I can just go there like I want to. God let me be myself. And I'll share this. I didn't want, like I talk now, I wanted to say something to my cousin. About how people die or whatever. What you gonna say? Everybody walking up to her, what can we get for you? What can we get for you? They bring liquor and all that. I remember my uncle passed. And that's when I found out that this drug thing wasn't the answer. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the answer was, but it didn't do nothing no more. You know what I'm saying? How I drank and I smoked and I shot up and I did everything. The pain was still there because if it's pain, it's pain. Darvocets, all this old pain medication. You know what? I hurt my shoulder. I thought, it felt good. Until what? I'm allergic to that shit. I'm scratching and carrying on. It was terrible. So God got his way of dealing with me. You see what I'm saying? Because the drug thing don't work with me. So I have to deal with the pain. Or it's like hell. Skip that. So I got to do I go see these this guy, he was teaching us, Tai Chi. Breathe and that was some cool stuff though there. Because you got a Mexican guy teaching you Chinese principles. That was cool. That was so cool. He was talking Mexican and the Damalana says, I was like, cool. That was cool. I'm crazy. But that was cool. Anyway, I don't know how I get up here. I love NA because y'all let me be myself. Y'all let me talk. And through this, I'm developing into the person I'm supposed to be, and it's a good feeling, and it benefits my whole family, because they looking at me like now, because everybody know I should be a damn fool, and they just think with me with some alcohol in me, shit, oh Lord, they be like, Lord have mercy, you can lock the door, boom, boom, boom. People would come over, they would put me in the closet like I'm the dog, that you can't let me, let me out, He just hide him. Here he comes. He don't mean nothing, And they don't do that to me no more. Oh, and now I don't want to be bothered with their ass. With they drunk ass. Get out, you know. Everybody drunk. I mean, let me tell you something, man. Let me get out. Now I be wanting, you know, but I've been there though. See, so I got compassion on them. So I just leave. Anyway, this journey, it's been a good one, but I can't help what happened to others, you know. I can't help what other people do and how things happen, and we powerless. Because I want to blame myself because I didn't pray for this boy. I didn't stay. I went to a meeting and didn't stay home and be in meditation and prayer or something. I don't know. And I kicked my own butt. I'm serious. It's my fault that he got out there the other night and crashed, running from the police. Hit 4 cars. Car got thrown out the car, and the car turned over on him. And, hell, I don't know. What can I do? Nothing. Is it my? Ain't nothing I can do. Nothing. You know. But anyway, how do you stop when the flow of water start going like this? And it's just so much a lot of times. Let's just be honest. You know, in that damn city. It's a wonder that I ain't moved the hell out and live up north somewhere. You know, just walk around. You know, there was a bird chasing me around earlier today. But I don't know. I just want some peace. I'm trying to shut up. Believe me. I'm trying to wind this down. I'm trying to get to a point where I can just say, well, I'm through talking, I'm gonna sit down, you know. But it's such a relief to do this. It is. It's a relief to do this. And one for you, it's been 16 years. I remember December 1988. I walked in there, and I always try to share behind somebody. Yes, I had that problem once. God told me share your own shit. Don't share what you got to share. Share. He should have never told me that. I was trying to be an intellectual. The recovery part is really essential here. Shit, he told me just share your own self. Shit, no. Now I'm free. Anyway, I'm gonna just walk off.
I'm an addict. My name's Derek.
Hey, Derek.
When Joni was sharing, she described one of the sections in the basic text that talked about joy, and the other sections on page 103, and it says, indescribable joy comes from sharing from the heart. And I don't know about anybody else, but you just shared from the heart, Edwin, and I got some indescribable joy from it, so thank you. I'm a journeyman millwright, and I was thinking about this topic, while everybody's been sharing, and I thought about, well, what does that mean? Journey is in the word journeyman, and I got to thinking, there's a lot of words that start with A that are about what we're about here in Narcotics Anonymous. Being a journeyman is about accomplishment, it's about achievement, it's about accumulation, it's about accreditation, it's about becoming successful, responsible, productive members of society. That's what our literature tells us we're about doing. And it's really cool to grow in this process and to begin to reap some of the rewards of the hard work. And some of this is really hard work. And anybody that's ever written a 4-step and shared their 5th step with someone knows about the hard work and the endurance that we go through in processing the 6th step and moving on to the forgiveness and healing in the 7th. Now, I remember watching Joni when she first got here. She was a scaredy cat, and where you're at now, man, it's a miracle, and it's really a joy to watch you grow up in recovery. Not just you, but everybody else that I've had the opportunity to participate in your recoveries as well. Joy is it's one of those words that you can look it up in a dictionary, and it might mean something to you when you do, but it's something that comes from in here. It's a feeling. It's not a word that has a definition. Like I can't describe what God is either, and I can't describe what joy is, but they're both on the same page in whatever book that is. Thanks.
Is there anyone else cares to share? Why don't we cover that game, Joseph? And there were a couple of things I heard, and first of all, I'd like to thank Joni and Avis and give another applause for putting themselves out here and coming into this workshop and sharing. I think Avis was talking about that 12 inches that goes from the head to the heart. Or John, I can't remember which one you were talking about it, but that is just seems to be the longest journey I think that I've had in recovery. You know, there's been a lot of times that I couldn't connect that 12 inches from my head to here. That's all it is, 12 inches. And that's been one of the longest journeys. We have a addict that shares that back in our home group. And I think about that. Because there's many times that I couldn't get that connection, or that connection was so painful that all I wanted to do was separate it. And I've seen a lot of people have done that. And they're hanging from a rope. You know, that's what people who commit suicide, to hang themselves. They got to disconnect that. They can't get it together, can't get it right. Too much pain, and so they swing from a rope. And I don't want that today. Edwin, I think, brought up something on you know, life's not fair. And I thought I'd share something about life's not fair with you. I know Todd over here knows this, and Charlene, I share this quite a bit, but there's rules of life and recovery. And the rules of life and recovery are, rule number 1 is life's not fair. Rule number 2 is you can't change rule number 1. And rule number 3 is if you don't accept rule number 1 and rule number 2, you're FUBAR. And I don't know if you know what FUBAR is, but that's fucked up beyond all repair or recognition. Rule number 4 tells us that we are what we feel, and we feel what we do. And if we don't deal with our feelings, they'll deal with you. Rule number 5 tells us what other people do is their fault. What you do is yours. Rule number 6 says feelings are only forever if you don't deal with them. And rule number 7 tells me, don't try to deal with forever because you can't. Just deal with today. Thanks for letting me share. Could we please close with a group hug and a prayer?